Hello and welcome back to Magic in the Muck, a soul's compass for change. I'm Jennifer Nagel and I'm so glad that you're here today. Today's episode feels really special to me. I'm joined by a dear friend, a colleague, and someone whose work I deeply admire, Merissa Turner. Merissa, along with her husband, Gary Turner, is the co-founder of Thrive. It's a project that's rooted in story, healing, and using meaningful documentary film as a doorway into reflection, connection, and transformation. Merissa is also a somatic experiencing therapist, and I really admire the work that she's doing and the communities that she's supporting with what she does. What I love about Merissa and about her as a human being is the way that she bridges body wisdom, story, and heart in a way that feels really grounded and deeply alive. So Merissa, I'm so glad that you're here with me.
Thank you, Jennifer. I am too. And like I said, it's my first podcast and I'm glad it's with you.
I'm so glad too. So what else? Tell us about you. That's a big question, isn't it?
I know.
Tell us about you.
It's always such a loaded question. And actually, these introductions always feel so awkward for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of what's shaped my journey is my own self-discovery in wanting to understand myself. So, it started with all the attachment work with Gordon Neufeld. I just fell in love with that. I just fell in love with the fact that there was a different way. And that led me into studying counseling and transpersonal psychology. And that then led me into somatic experiencing. And then that led me into the constellation work and then inherited family trauma work, which, comes from the land of the Zulus, which is the land I was raised on, which, I have such a deep affinity to. So I just kind of dived in and started slowly adding all of these tools to my toolbox. But really, it was all for myself. And it was to understand myself. It was to be a better mother, a better wife. It was to really start making sense of who I was and starting to really connect with my own authenticity. I'd realized that I'd moved so far away from it. And I just dived fully in. But I think what I'm most excited about sharing is when I connected to the Indigenous communities and started really doing my own spiritual healing. For many of us here in these Western modalities, we don't really have, the spiritual models. Mm-hmm. So that kind of sums up, the things I love and the training I took. And on top of that, I'm a filmmaker, which is kind of really exciting because we get to reach a larger audience. I'm sure you know that, sitting one-on-one is precious and running a group is, precious, but there's nothing better than being able to reach that wider audience. And, Gary and I jumped fully into that. And I'm really grateful to have a partner that, did all the same work I did. And he brings that to his film work now. So, we as a team, we can sit and we can hold such deep space without intruding with a massive film crew. And, I think it's become our superpower that we didn't even know we had until we started going into those deeper spaces, especially with our residential trauma survivors.
I love what you're saying. And what I'm hearing, your whole journey, you mentioned starting with wanting to understand yourself and work on yourself. And I really think healing does start from, changing from the inside out. And so that work on yourself and then spreading out, and the work that you're doing together with Gary is just, that ripple effect. I really want to ask so much more about even just your approach to bringing healing and bringing teachings more globally. So I guess if we were to go back to the beginning, before Thrive had a name or before Thrive had a shape, what was stirring for you and Gary? Like, what were you responding to in yourselves or in the world that was nudging you in this direction?
I think it was definitely my children. It was definitely trying to find a safe space for them in the school system. And us starting to run into, I don't even know what the word is, but this search for who's nurturing our children, who is preserving their spirits. And I think that's where it started for us, is we became very protective of, and I think, as you go through your own work and you start discovering who you had to become in order to get through the school system, in order to get your needs met, I realized a lot of it is learning how to, be a chameleon, learning how to wear the masks in the different situations. And one thing I did not want was for my children to do that.
The shape shifting into conforming to expectations that are so outside of,
exactly. Which in itself, we're remarkable beings that we can do that.
Resourceful.
So resourceful, and it's pretty remarkable. But there was a part of me that just didn't want my children to lose their authenticity within that structure. And I think having two sensitive children, and me trying to understand them really led the way for us. And then we started, really exploring the different school systems. And then we finally moved into finding a school that actually did take a different approach. And we were like, let's inspire the systems to know that there is another way. So we created our first documentary quite ignorantly, in fact. And we put it out and got 100,000 views in, I think, 3 days. But
what where we ignorantly? You said you started ignorantly.
Because and I'll share a little bit about the ignorance around that, is that what I didn't realize is this was a very big subject and a very big topic. And if we want to touch people and we want to move people and inspire people, we have to know how to hold them afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And that was ignorance, because we didn't know that piece. So what we did was, we got a lot of views, and then we started getting the emails. I have a child with anxiety. I have a child with substance abuse issues, and I need help. And Gary and I all of a sudden realized that we didn't know where to send. We weren't equipped to look after those people. So we were putting this piece of work out, and we hadn't created any holding for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where Thrive was born, was the power of storytelling, the power of inspiring a different way. But how do we get past passive viewing? How do we create community? How do we support these parents? And how do we do it in a way that feels responsible? And that's where Thrive was born.
It's really beautiful what you're creating with Thrive, because I hear you create these films that are so meaningful. I've seen them, and we're going to leave this all in the show notes so that people listening can find out and experience what it is that you and Gary are doing. But they resonate with people because people are living the experiences that are being shown on film. And then I'm hearing they resonate, and then I want help. They understand it. They get it. How can I get the help that I need? And so creating this, I guess, honoring their experience, really wanting to create a space to hold the space and not just leaving them to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And what's really beautiful is something magical happened in the process of wanting to be in service. And I can't really speak to that in how it happened, except that it did, that this project we were holding evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is we never set out going to create an entire network filled with support and filled with, these global mentors and wisdom keepers and offering, these services that we now offer weekly. That was never part of the vision in the beginning.
It just hadn't been revealed to you yet. That's all.
It hadn't been revealed to me. And I think there was some care in that, because had it been revealed too early, I would have said this is way too big for us. So there is some real magic in the fact that it just evolved. And I think that that's something that Gary and I have learned to hold in a way where it's ever evolving. And I love that. I love that we're in service of this ever evolving platform that is, what we're calling a digital village right now. And I'm really proud of the fact that we've reached people from around the world. In one of our last offerings, there were people, tuning in from the UK at 3 a.m. And there was, we got messages from Europe, from Greece, going, can we get the recordings because the time zones don't work?
Mm-hmm.
But what I have been most moved by, Jennifer, is I've put calls out to people I trust, people that have inspired me, people have, I've learned from, and everybody's a yes. Everybody is a yes. Everybody is in service of this way of being we know is missing in our society, and that's healing together and healing in community. We can talk about it, but we really don't know how to do it. And we are reteaching ourselves, but we do know, I think we do feel what's missing.
We do. And it's global. Like you said, there's a global community that this is resonating with so many.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And that's been, that to me has just been, I don't know what the right terms are, like, I don't know, a kiss on the lips from God, basically, and going, and everyone's a yes. And it's made it so much easier. It wasn't easy in the beginning because I don't think we could articulate the vision we had.
Mm-hmm.
So the holding in the beginning was very difficult for us. But once we created it and you could see what was starting to want to unfold, everybody was a yes. And I just love that. I mean, the possibilities are endless on where this can go and really, how far we can go.
I wonder, can we dive in a little bit to cinematherapy? That might be a new term for some people. Cinematherapy in the body. Like you work at the intersection of film and story and the nervous system. What happens in the body when someone is watching your films? I mean, I guess I can speak from my own experience too, because I've watched your films as well. When someone sees their experience reflected on the screen in a truthful way, I've seen several of your films, but I remember there are moments where I have tears and I feel like there's such a, whether it's tears of compassion for the person whose story is on film, or whether it's tears of resonance, like I know this story, I've lived this story. Can you speak a little bit to cinematherapy? What is it and what happens?
I think it started with a workshop that, we used to support. This workshop. It was part of our practicum hours. And, there's a magic that happens when you're sitting in a room and you're willing to go to those deeper parts of yourself, when you're willing to pull back who you've become, or that protective suit we wear and the armoring. And when you're sitting in a space like that and you're in the presence of someone's essence underneath all of that, something does happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's our souls or our spirits that know it, or it's the essence of who we are, or that we get to pause from the productivity and the getting through the day and starting to touch some really authentic parts that we all resonate with. And I think something does happen in the body. Mm-hmm. There is something that gets touched. And it's something that I think there's a yearning for that I don't know if we can name it until we feel it.
Yeah.
So, to sit in the space and to have someone hold that space to get to those deeper parts, I think something magical happens in that space.
And something magical happens when that space is also in community. Like I attended your premiere of Real, at the theater. And so it was a packed theater full of people, audience members watching your film for the first time. And at the end of that, like everyone standing ovation. I don't know that there was a dry eye in the house, but there was watching it together in community, even though I didn't know most of the people there, but there was something about being together in that. And I wonder, looking at Thrive and where Thrive is going, like you said, a digital community, how can we hold space with each other?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do come back to this. I think we're yearning for authenticity.
Yes.
So when you're sitting in a theater and we're in our hearts and we're in our feeling states, I think there's a yearning for that, right? I really do. I think the other parts are exhausting. And we spend so much time, in our heads. We spend so much time strategizing and being productive and, doing the things we need to do. But how often, and I mean, I'm asking us both this question right now because I'm reflecting on myself. How often are we sitting in these spaces of real vulnerability, of authentic connection with self and other, or in a collective space of wanting something more for humanity and finding a way through, finding something inspirational like a film, like being behind a film that could potentially touch people and give people hope that there is another way. And I just know we're in production mode. I haven't sat in any of that authentic, deep, resonant field for, I guess I only get to do that when I hold retreats in space, but not as often as I should be, not as often as I want to be. So I think it's refreshing, and I think we can feel that. I think we can feel the relief of it.
Yeah. How was it for you and Gary to witness the impact of your work?
That's such a great question, because I remember we didn't want the screening.
Sitting on the stage and
no, we were not going to have a screening. And Dwayne, the therapist in there, who really wanted the screening. And I was very grateful. I was grateful because while I was there, I could feel the buzz and I could feel the excitement. And I felt so proud that we had done that, that Gary and I had created this film. And then getting the standing ovation, I wish I'd been more in my body too, but I was so concerned about sitting next to my children and my children witnessing my parents and my parents being there. And then also so protective of my mom, who'd had this secret of having this affair in our lives, a secret for 50 years being revealed on a screen. So there was so much going on for me in the care of the impact. I didn't even know if I was going to invite my little boy at the time. I mean, I think he was 14 or 13. And I still had some questions on, how exposing and how much, would that be? So to answer your question, I wish I'd been more embodied in the moment than needing to go perform back on stage. Like I could feel I was not myself because I just wanted the moment with my mom.
So as you look ahead, not just for Thrive, but for yourself, what feels like it's emerging for you right now? Or what are you listening for within yourself?
I think that we're on such a fast pace. This is unfolding way faster than I can keep up with right now.
There's a lot of.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Like we have an Oscar-nominated, the first Oscar-nominated director from Sugar Cane coming next month.
Really?
In March. This month, we've got Gabor Mate coming onto our. So, we've got some big names. We've got Naomi Klein will be coming and David Suzuki will be invited. And we've got some very big names coming, and it feels like what's important for me right now is to not get caught up in the pace that it's going. So for me to find balance so that I can tune into what is wanting to emerge versus right now it's so production oriented that I could lose that piece that you're asking me to speak to, because it's a lot to hold right now. We also have 3 other documentaries. So, we have
simultaneously
on hold, but always at the front of our halfway through. But, one is going to be launched as a fundraiser soon. So we're working on the launch of that. Medicine is halfway through and is getting worked at a story level. And then we have Hold On To Your Kids, which has been our passion project. And I would say this is why we created everything we created, starting the relationship with Gordon Neufeld 15 years ago and taking our time to build a relationship, but also build our own awareness and our own growth around being able to hold a project like this. Mm-hmm. It's a little daunting for 2 creatives to be wanting to present a theorist out into the world. So, we are holding that with a lot of care, but we've been so impacted by his work and have transformed our own families that this is the one that's really dear to us.
Mm-hmm. When is that due to launch?
I would like to say 3 months.
Mm-hmm. So sometime this year in 2026. I'll just say 2026.
Definitely before June.
Beautiful. Okay. So, everything that you're sharing really resonates, even with the whole magic in the muck. As you look back at your journey so far, where do you now see the magic that only revealed itself through the muck and the challenges and the tricky parts?
I had a full interview, I don't know how many hours yesterday, of telling my story for the Hold On To Your Kids documentary. And I had to start at the beginning, and it was painful. Mm. From the moment I sat in front of the camera and I had to go back and recall where I started crying. To think of that young woman, trying to be the parent she wanted to be with absolutely no map except wanting to do the opposite of what I received, not realizing I had had a traumatic childhood myself, but I was not in the presence of it. Mm-hmm. I had to start really sharing that story and feeling those hard moments. And through the entire story of, I don't know how many hours I had to share it, I came to the end and I realized there's nothing I would have changed. Because had I not gone through those really, really difficult moments, I would not be able to sit with other mums and to be able to tell them I found my way through, and to be able to sit and go, I know exactly what that feels like. And I feel very grateful for that. I wouldn't want to relive it. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I'm on the other side. But the magic in who I've become, the magic in finding parts of myself and being proud of who I am and being proud of how far I've come, that feels like magic to me in being able to see what I can offer now. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's Thrive. To me, Thrive is our hearts on a website. It's our commitment, a free teaching from an Indigenous wisdom keeper and a free support group is our offering. That's our gift, because I feel we all deserve to thrive.
We really do. Yeah. Thank you. So for our listeners, where can they find you? How can they find you?
So going onto our website, Thrive.one, and it's the spelling ONE. It's not the number. And then joining the community. So joining means you do have to create an account. It's free, but you do have to go through a process. And where we're finding out people are getting stuck is you get sent a verification code and it's going to people's junk mail. So you do need to verify your code. Once you have that, you can then attend any of the classes. And what's beautiful is there's a little button on the event you want to attend, and it will go straight to your calendar with the Zoom link. And there you are, and you're in that community. So I really encourage you to come and visit. We're doing everything from birth psychology to a beautiful meditation to learning about the nervous system, but educational pieces as well as getting tools. We just have so much unfolding that
sound healing and
sound healing,
family systems.
That's right. And exploring some inherited patterns. And, you know, even the class last week, I got a text straight from my mom afterwards. I didn't hold that class. I got it, but my mom attends all of them. And she sent me a text and she goes, I just uncovered exactly this root of something I bring into our relationship all the time.
Wow.
So I just,
it opens the conversation, right? Attending like these teachings really, to open the conversation. And now on this site, can they also access some of your films or some of them accessible?
Yes. So Skits is the film about the school that I was telling you about a school taking a different approach, a nervous system approach above the academic requirements. Well, just making safety a priority is free. And so is Real. And Real is the documentary you and I were talking about, the one that my parents were in that revealed this, secret that lived in their relationship for so long. But what's more exciting is we're creating more resources. So if you like the film, there is a masterclass, 15 episodes, taking you through uncovering your own dynamics, kind of an at-home workshop. It comes with a workbook. It's got questions. It just is a really easy, if you want to dip your toe in and start exploring this landscape of what makes you you. And if you're running into some relational dynamics that you don't like, that you're wanting to understand, this is a great place to start. So starting with Real is a really easy place to start, I think.
I'm going to put this in the show notes as well. I'm going to put the website and any other information for the listeners that will all go in the show notes from this episode. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this conversation. I'm so excited to share this with everybody. So this podcast is one platform for sharing, and I really encourage listeners to tune in to Thrive.one because it's a really exciting movement that's happening globally. So
thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. I'm excited to have you a part of it. And like you say, just excited to share it with everyone.
Thank you for being here with me on Magic in the Muck. If today stirred something in you, and you're ready to walk this path more deeply, I invite you to join the Soul Compass Circle, a journey of reflection, connection, and soul-aligned living. You don't have to do this alone. Just visit the link in the show notes to step into the circle. I look forward to meeting you there.
I'm Michelle Abraham, founder of the High Vibe Podcast Network, and we're honored to have Jennifer Nagel's show Magic in the Muck as part of our network family. For more inspiring shows like this one, visit highvibepodcastnetwork.com, and don't forget to grab your free gifts from our hosts in the gift fold. Stay high vibe and keep sharing your light.